Hey folks, Roland Martin here. Glad to be the co-host of what is Virtual Ballot Sunday. This particular event is all about getting folks in Ohio focused on going to the polls, voting on Tuesday. Of course, we're in this unprecedented pandemic, this COVID-19 international pandemic. It has greatly impacted the ability for people to be able to vote all across this country. We've seen a number of primaries that have been pushed back as a result. And so folks are trying to figure this thing out. But our goal, of course, is to have this event to get you focused and talk about the importance of, again, voting on Tuesday. People are going to be all across the state are going to be doing so. When Congresswoman Joyce Beatty gave me a call, she says, hey, we want to encourage people to vote. Normally what happens is people are going to churches on Sundays and they're doing all of those different things to get people out to vote. But we can't do that because we have to have practice safe distancing and people are still sheltered in place. And so we wanted to be able to do this. Of course, we also know that African Americans have been the most hardest hit by the coronavirus pandemic. And so there are a lot of us who are accustomed to going to the polls to vote, especially older voters. We understand the importance of being in that line, standing and physically casting a ballot. But for a lot of people, that's not going to be the case when it comes to this election season. And so this is all about, again, using digital media. We're live streaming right now on Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, Instagram Live, and Twitch, all using all the tools to get folks out to vote. And so my co-host today is Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, who joins us right now. Congresswoman, glad to see you.
Thank you, Roland. It's always good to be with you. And now I am co-anchoring with you. And I think you said it so well. Traditionally, we would be together. This would be our GOTV Sunday. We would be in a church. We would have a packed audience. But out of respect and to keep everyone safe and healthy during this pandemic time, we decided to do it virtually and to reach out to all of those individuals. And we have some great local co-hosts here. We have our president of City Council, Shannon Harden. We also have girlfriend and sister girl, our county treasurer, Cheryl Brooks Sullivan. We have Kevin Boyce, county commissioner, and attorney, state representative, Erica Crawley. They are our co-hosts. And we have a great lineup today, Roland. So we want everyone that's listening on all of the mediums to know that we have some of the baddest members of Congress who are going to make an appearance today. Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, Congresswoman Val Demings, Congressman Cedric Richmond. I mean, we are just so excited about that. And then, of course, one of the best bishops, orators around, Bishop Timothy Clark. Roland, we're going to talk more about each of them a little later. But let me just say, I like that shirt you're sporting, Black Voters Matter. Well, you don't have any on me because I want you to know I have my shirt right here for you as well. Because certainly we stand with Black women.
Well, I got to, of course, I'm a huge supporter of Latasha Brown and Cliff Albright, the great work that they're doing. And so I'm always representing them. And so that's why I'm rocking this shirt today. And so we want to use all messaging we can to get the folks out to vote, of course, on my show, Roland Martin Unfiltered. We do this all the time and sort of driving that. And I think what we've seen this election season, we've seen significant turnout On the Democratic side, we saw what happened in South Carolina. We saw what happened in Wisconsin and other states as well. And so people recognize how critically important this 2020 election is, not just when it comes to the presidential race, U.S. Senate and congressional races, but also these statewide races, people who are running for governor, for state rep, state senate, county positions, city hall positions. I mean, you name it. So we got to be thinking about all of those positions, and Black folks obviously are important. There was a 2.4% decrease of Black people who turned out in 2016 versus 2012. And so we want to make sure that does not happen again. But again, we want to encourage everybody to vote. I don't care whether you're white, Black, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, Native American, Asian Pacific, does not matter. This is a fundamental duty for so many Americans. So that's why we are here. As you mentioned, we've got some great members of Congress who are going to be joining us. Congresswoman Maxine Waters of California, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries of New York, and of course, Congresswoman Val Demings out of Florida. And of course, we're going to have, of course, some great music as well. So really looking forward to all of that. So let's get things kicked off with our first minister.
I think we have Elder Larry Price.
Thank you, Roland. And the Honorable Joyce Beatty. Thank you, my Congresswoman, the Honorable Joyce Beatty, representing the 3rd Congressional District, for this wonderful and needed event. Ballot Sunday, streaming live from my house to your house. The two of you are perfect co-anchors. Congresswoman, we have been on the battlefield to protect the right to vote and to get out the vote for many years, but the battle continues. Let us pray. Most Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. In spite of COVID-19, we still love you and adore you. Now we invoke your spirit upon this program as we seek to uplift this thy people. Let the words that are spoken not only give comfort and strength to your people, but let them be found pleasing in thy sight. This we pray in the only name we know, your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Her start in the church with gospel music. Of course, Zap Band, collaboration of Lionel Richie's song, was top gospel song for 8 years. Of course, also an American R&B songwriter. And she also performed at the Congressional Black Caucus ALC for Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. And she's been certainly out in front on a lot of these issues, Congresswoman.
Yes, she has. She's been very good to me. She's someone that will bring it. She's been in Washington, as you mentioned. She performed before the Congressional Black Caucus for me, and we just love her. And so she's going to bring it. Let's hear from Shirley Murdoch. Just think about what we're going through. And I know we want to just stand. Come on, Shirley.
What do you do when you've done all you can? Seems like it's never enough. Oh, and what do you say when your friends turn away and you're all alone? Tell me, when you give in your all and seem like you just can't make it through, child, you just stand when there's nothing left to do. You turn, watch the Lord, watch him see it through. Yes, after you've done all you can, you just stand. Tell me, how do you handle the guilt of your past? Tell me, how do you deal with the shame? while your heart has been broken and filled with pain, filled with pain, filled with pain. Tell me, do you get when you've given your all and seem like you just can't make it through? Child, you just stand when there's nothing left to do. You just stand, watch the Lord, watch him see you through. Yes, after you've done all you can, you just stand and be not entangled with that bondage again. You just stand and do. Just listen, God has a purpose. Do you believe that? God has a plan. Tell me, when you've done all you can, seems like you just can't make it, like you ain't gonna make it through. Child, you just stand, you just stand, and don't you give up through the storm, stand through the rain, through the hurt, and even through your pain. Woo! Don't bow down and don't you bend. Oh no, don't give up and don't give in. All you gotta do is hold on. Just keep strong. God will step in. And it won't be long, no. After you've done all you can.
After you've done all you can.
After you've been in quarantine and you're wearing a mask, all you can. Whoa. After you've gone through the hurt and after you're down through the pain.
After you've done all you can.
After you've gone through the storm.
After you've done.
After you've gone through the pain.
After you've done.
Listen, you prayed and you cried. I know somebody out there stayed up all night long just praying. I know you prayed and you prayed and you prayed and you prayed and you prayed. You prayed and you cried, mama. But after you've done all you can, you just stand. Whoa, you. Everybody, you just stand. Back to you, Congresswoman and Roland Martin.
All right, then. Great job there, Shirley Murdoch. Surely appreciate that. Thank you so very much.
And together they sounded just great. Roland, let me just tell you, we're going to keep this rolling. You like that, Roland?
And, oh yeah, of course. Rolling with Roland. That's how we do it.
That's how we do it. And now let me just tell you, we have a bishop that's just going to bring it home for us. He can preach. He serves in the community. Just this week, he was on TV right here in Columbus telling us how important it is for us to fight this coronavirus, how important it is for us to vote and to stay safe and to stay healthy. He's someone that has been out front, not afraid to bring the word, but not afraid to talk about Black folks and the disparities and our constitutional right to vote. I know him well, and Roland, you've been with him before. You've been with Bishop Timothy Clark over there at First Christian.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Bishop, let's talk about why voting absolutely matters.
Well, first of all, let me bring greetings not only to everyone that's watching, and I do pray that there are many who are watching today. Let me greet my Congresswoman, our Congresswoman. I do not know anyone who is more of a champion for the cause of not only our people, but as Brother Roland said a moment ago, of all people, particularly those who are disenfranchised and those who are marginalized. And so, Congresswoman Beatty, we love you and Brother Otto. And let me just say to Brother Roland Martin, one of the coolest, baddest dudes on the block. And we love you and appreciate and respect you so much.
Appreciate it.
Let me just share from my heart here in my home, from my house to your house, here in my study where I work on messages and lessons. Just want to share with you why it is so not just important, but imperative that we do everything in our power to be not only counted, but to be heard on this Tuesday. Now, there are normally two things that our community does when it comes to voting, and both of them are not only dangerous, but in many ways they are destructive. First thing is, we tend to only vote in general elections every 4 years when there's a presidential candidate. And Brother Roland Martin's already shared that that is really to our disadvantage. We must vote in every election. Second thing that we do that is often a sign of dysfunction politically in our community is that we don't vote in primaries. We'll vote in November, but we say, primaries don't matter. I don't have to go. Listen to me, beloved. The word primary actually means of first or greatest importance. In fact, watch this. You cannot have anything else until you've had primary. Primary in education, primary in the geopolitical context, primary even, are you ready for this? Theologically. We've just come out of the Easter season. The Apostle Paul, in writing to the church at Corinth, says, I have delivered unto you first that which was delivered unto me. And then watch this, the things that are of primary importance. In other words, the term primary speaks to the importance of an issue or a concern. The primary Tuesday is important. Here's why. Because if we do not vote in the primary, we may lose the opportunity to really, truly vote in November. We've got to make sure that our candidates survive Tuesday. Come on, talk to me. We've got to make sure that Congresswoman Beatty gets through Tuesday. Even though in the presidential election, it looks as if Mr. Biden, Vice President Biden, is a shoo-in, that is still no reason for you to stay away from getting your ballot in the mail, or we've been told that because of this coronavirus that we may need to actually take our ballot down to the election office. Whatever we have to do in this primary, beloved, let's do it. I want to close with this. I only have a few minutes. Let me share this. Have you ever stopped to think what would have happened if? Think about it. What if Stephen Douglas had beaten Abraham Lincoln? Suppose it was a Douglas presidency that led this nation through the Civil War. What if Teddy Roosevelt had not started the Bull Moose Party and ran in a three-way race that allowed Woodrow Wilson, one of the most racist presidents in our history, to become president? What if Herbert Hoover had beaten Franklin Roosevelt and Hoover led us through the Great Depression and the Second World War? What if Richard Milhous Nixon had garnered those few votes and beat Jack Kennedy? What if Herbert Hoover had won against Roosevelt? And what if even later Hubert Humphrey had been able to win against Richard Nixon? And what if John McCain had beat Barack Obama? And what if Hillary Clinton had beat Donald Trump? Beloved, so much rides on the primary. It is of utmost first importance. We can't go to November until we vote in April. I want to challenge you, not only sociologically, not only geopolitically, but beloved, theologically. I want to challenge you. Let's put first things first. Let's get past the primary, and then let's focus on the general election. I don't ever want us to look back and say, wow, what if? Too much is at risk, too much is at stake, too much is on the line. Let's stand up, let's show up, let's speak up, and let's let Black votes count and matter. God bless you.
All right now. What if? What if? Good word, Bishop.
Now, the bishop brought it, didn't he, Roland?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
When you talk about standing up and showing up and getting things done, this sister that I have the pleasure of turning the mic over to, she's a bad sister in Congress. She's a bad sister out of Florida. I don't know if we want to call her Madam Vice President, but I know I've seen her name on every list. To everybody watching us, I know you saw her during the impeachment hearings, because this sister is so bad. She serves on judiciary, she's on the intelligence committee, and out of the 7 of our members up there, she was the only member to serve on 2 of those committees. And Roland, let me just tell you, she's not only my sister in Congress, we share a lot. Our birthday is on the same day, but I want you to get ready because she also knows a lot about this.
Oh, Lord.
Yes.
Oh, Lord.
Yes.
Here y'all go.
I just want to give a shout out.
Y'all gonna have my wife coming down here, that Delta
That's
stuff.
right.
Go on with that. Y'all know Alpha's rule, but y'all go ahead. I'll let y'all have y'all moment.
At this time, let's turn it over to no other than Congresswoman Val Demings from Florida.
Well, let me just say good evening to all of you, and it is a joy for me to be here with you. And when you think about all that is going on during these tough times, it's a joy to be anywhere. It is just good to be alive. I am so impressed by what we have already seen and heard, and you know we will find a way. Here we are, we can't get together physically. I was looking so forward to joining my sister in Ohio, but that didn't happen, but that's okay. We will find a way, and this virtual Ballot Sunday is definitely serving the purpose and will do exactly what we need it to do. I am
just real quick, Congresswoman. So we have an issue with your video. We hear you. You are coming through crystal clear. So let's double check something. Make sure that your video button is on. Let's make sure there we go. Now we got you.
Okay.
That's what I want you to
we had your audio. We ain't have your video. So, but now we see you. Go ahead.
We want to see you.
Here I am. And thank you so much. I am just so thankful that we started this critical moment off with prayer. I just give a tribute to the bishop and the elder and the pastor who has joined us. Also my phenomenal colleagues, the amazing Hakeem Jeffries, who we expect to hear from later, and the dynamic Cedric Richmond. But let me just say this about my colleague, my friend, and my sister, Joyce Beatty. Joyce is just good people. And I am so honored to serve with her. She is brilliant. She is dedicated, committed. She comes in early and goes home late. She is such a blessing to Congress. I know, Ohio, she is such a blessing to you. And I would just say this, you know, many people, let me put it this way, since it's Ballot Sunday, many are called, but few are chosen. We're dealing with some critical issues. This is a critical time. We need serious people to deal with them. So I am just asking you as well, joining the bishop, to be sure when you go to when you press your way with your ballot in the mail or press your way to vote, that you remember Joyce Beatty, because why change someone who is working so well for you? And I know that because of my personal experience with her, and I just salute her for all of the work that she is doing to change Ohio for the better, but also to change our nation for the better. Why are we here? And I just have to pause about why are we here? Why does this matter so much? A few months ago, when we were begin our impeachment inquiry, and I was giving my opening remarks, I thought a long time about what I would say because I knew that moment was so critical. And so part of my remarks is I said this, and I know it made some people nervous, but that's exactly why I said it. I said that I am a descendant of slaves who knew they would not make it, but hoped and prayed that one day I would make it. And I feel blessed today to say, yeah, I made it. But it was not without struggle, and it was not without help. I only made it because of other people who were willing to sacrifice all that they had and all that they were to create opportunities for me. I made it because of a man who believed that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, like Dr. King. I made it because of some phenomenal Black women who, against all odds, were able to do some amazing and miraculous things. How about Harriet Tubman? Where did she get the courage that she had to pave the way? When she received her freedom, she went back and led others to freedom. What about Sojourner Truth? I know we remember the phenomenal speech that she gave. I am a woman. What about Shirley Chisholm, who served as the first African-American woman in Congress? Can you imagine? Or that same woman running for president of these United States in 1972. I believe she did it because she was able to not just look at what was in front of her, but to look into the future for a brighter and a better day for people like me. I made it because of people like Carol Moseley Braun, who was the first African-American woman to serve in the U.S. Senate. So our vote matters, and we have to lift our voices, and our vote is our voice. I don't think it's a mistake that James Weldon Johnson, who penned, and you all know the beautiful song that we now consider our Negro national anthem, that the first words of that anthem were lift every voice. Because when we lift our voices, things change. When we talk about the strength of Black women, we know that Black women are the backbone of my party. We've seen the phenomenal things that Black women have done and continue to do. And so when we lift our voices as Black people, everything changes. And so this Tuesday, I know you're not going to take it for granted, and you're going to cast your vote and make sure that your vote counts. I know you're going to lift your voice when you see any injustices and make sure that the right people who will struggle and fight for the least of these will get into office and stay in office. So Congresswoman Beatty, you just keep on keeping on. To everybody who is here supporting this Ballot Sunday, Roland, you know I think the world of you. Thank you for the work that you're doing, and all people who are here helping us to carry this message and continue to struggle. Thank you so very much, because when we show up, great things happen. So thank you all so very much, and may God continue to bless all of you.
All right then, Congresswoman Val Demings of Florida. Yep, said it all. Always glad. I was glad to see you. And I take it you also, not you are quarantined, you probably are doing lots of cooking and hanging out with the family, your husband. Is he also the mayor now?
He is
Isn't he?
the mayor.
He's the mayor where they are. So yeah.
Well, let me just,
What did you
let me
say
just
about,
say, Roland.
what did you say, doing a lot of cooking and what else was that?
Well, just cooking and hanging out and just chilling. You know, that's what you got to do.
God for all those restaurants that do takeout and delivery. Praise the Lord.
Hold on, you got to turn your video back on. We can't see you. See you. Oh, you pray. Come on now. I know people doing more cooking in the last month than they have done in their whole life.
See, oh, yeah, okay, yes.
Okay, Val, I'm coming over to get some of that food when we get back to Washington if you're cooking.
Come on to Florida, sister. You know I'd love to have you here.
Val, I can't thank you enough. Let me just take a moment, Roland, to say to everybody watching, what you see is what you get with Val Demings. That sister is so bad, not only in committee, but on the floor. She reminds us, it always seems impossible until it's done. But Val Demings, sister girl, you get it done. Okay, Roland, you want to take it out from here? Are we ready to hear the music or something?
All right, folks. Of course, earlier we heard from Shirley Murdoch, but we also got some great local talent that we want to hear from. He has sung with the James Cleveland Youth Chapter, made his breakthrough with Sounds of Blackness, appeared on BET's Sunday Best Season 6, performed with folks like Kirk Franklin and Tamala Mann, and also in numerous Tyler Perry productions, including as Reverend Lewis in Medea's Family Reunion. So let's hear from Quan Howell. Quan, what's happening? Quan, you there? We got Quan? Y'all let me know if we got Quan. Might be having some video issues with Quan.
While we're waiting on Quan, Roland, let me just tell you about this brother. This brother is so bad. When I was talking to him the other day, he was telling us it is so important for us to go out and vote. And we were talking about the disparities with Black folks. And when you vote, it makes a difference for all those services that we need. When you vote for people, you're also voting for those who are the least of us. You know, every day, Val Demings and Hakeem, and I want to give a shout out to Congresswoman Marsha Fudge, Ohio. We go in there every day fighting for the least of us. And that's what Quan sings about a lot. Do we have him? I think we have him now.
I think we're pulling him up. I see they're trying to pull up his video stream as we speak. And so until that happens, they'll let us know. Folks, don't forget. So first of all, Congresswoman, explain to people, what are the rules on Tuesday? Is there any in-person, or is everything all mail-in voting in Ohio on Tuesday?
I'm so glad you said that, Roland. On Tuesday, April 28th, it is where if you are disabled, if you are hand disabled or a senior, you can go in and vote at 1700 Morris Road at the Board of Elections. Also, we've had some challenges with the Postal Service. So if you did not get your ballot in time to have it postmarked, you can actually come and vote. We're doing everything we can because certainly we understand it's your constitutional right to vote, and we're not going to stop people from voting. We're going to keep them safe and healthy, but I want people to know we still have until Monday to have it postmarked to get it in. But if something goes wrong, you can go to the Board of Election. And I think we have my man there ready for us now, Roland. And we'll talk more about April 28th.
All right, Quan, take it away.
Well, thank you, Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, for having me be a part of this wonderful occasion for you. And you know that we love you. We want the people to get out and vote and let your voice be heard, because the change is gonna come. I used to sing this with Sounds of Blackness, and I felt it was appropriate for this occasion to tell y'all, if y'all hold on, a change will come. A man said to me, how can you smile when your world is crumbling down? I said, in my secret, when I wanna cry, I take a look around and I see that I'm in my, and I won't some loving here today. Oh, picket lines, said picket signs. Don't bother me with brutality. Oh, so you can talk to me, so you can see what's going on. What's going on? Hey, what's going on?
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about, Roland.
Great job there. So getting a little jam in on this Sunday evening as we focus, of course, on this virtual Sunday GOTV effort. Focus, of course, folks, going to the polls, voting on Tuesday, April 28th in the state of Ohio. And so our goal is to encourage you and give you some inspiration to go to the polls. That's why we are doing this here. And of course, I'm here with Congresswoman Joyce Beatty.
Thank you so much, Roland. And we want everyone to make sure that they get their ballots in, make sure that they are postmarked. And so I want to just give a few shout outs because I could not do this without so many people. And I just saw going across my screen, Michael Coleman and Janelle Coleman. We all know Michael was our mayor for 16 years, Roland, first Black mayor. So I want to say thank you, Michael. Love you. Shayla Favor, I see you, girl. See, and she's on our city council. Roland, let me just tell you how bad the sisters are. We have a city in my district, Reynoldsburg, and I want to tell you, not one, not two, but three bad sisters. Yes, two of them are dealt to us. Just one in the last election, and we had never had anyone African-American, and they brought a whole lot of brown and majority folks along with them for that election. So I want to say to Angie and Shanette and Meredith, thank you for all that you're doing out there in City Council. We have all of our 4 co-hosts who are on today. Gave them a shout out earlier, but thank you all for being on. We have so many things. We even have a lot of female judges, Roland, and they're all checking in. Now, I have to give a personal shout out because everything that we do is for the future. And I want to tell you, I have two of the best grandbabies in the world. So I want to give a shout out to Leah and Spencer because they just sent me a text and said, Grammy, you and Roland look like y'all are on the Grammys. So I just want to say, hey to Leah and Spencer for watching us because you are our future. So many people on, and we'll come back and give a few more shout outs, but it is very important that everyone stay safe and stay healthy as we're going through this COVID-19, because it is about protecting the people and putting people first. And we're going to make sure that you're able to do that and exercise your constitutional right, and that's to vote, because voting is your voice and voting is your power. And that's why, Roland, I'm always at the polls voting. If you don't vote, you don't count. And so we want to make sure that all of our folks count. And with that, Roland, I think we've heard a lot of what's going on. And I think we're going to take it back because we have a sister that is a bad sister. And this sister is the associate pastor at St. Paul's AME Church, which is in the heart of my congressional district. Now, so I don't get in trouble, I think she wears pink and green sometime, Roland. So I'm just saying that to all of my Alpha Kappa Alpha friends.
Yes.
Who are supporting me. You know, this is bipartisan. This is about the whole Panhellenic family. So I think we're gonna go to you, Reverend.
Well, isn't she also your link sister? So at least y'all got that. Y'all got that. All right, then. So let's go to Reverend Amy Anderson. Reverend, what you got?
Thank you so much for having me on this evening. I want to jump into the book of Nehemiah on today. The chapter 4 of Nehemiah is a story about perseverance with the backdrop of social justice. In this story, the wall of Jerusalem had been neglected for so long and for so many years is in a state of disrepair. But the prophet Nehemiah took it upon himself to repair the wall because of its cruelty to the city's defense. Now, 3 times in the text, he was approached by fake friends with fake news and false pretense wanting his attention. He refused to allow the distractions of jealousy, rumors, and lies to interrupt his progress in restoring the wall into Jerusalem. He simply said, I am doing a great work. I cannot come down. As people of color, we have too often faced down the barrel of injustice in regards to health disparities, voter suppression, financial discrimination, and economic inequalities in our community. It is because of our ancestral heritage that we are well equipped to fight against this new threat against our right to vote. We are tied with the strong cord that binds us together in times of overwhelming circumstances. It is our continued resistance that propels us forward in the fight for equality. The people in Nehemiah 4 had a mind to work, and we, the citizens of Ohio, especially the Congressional 3rd District, we must have a mind to vote. When trouble arises, we must have a determination that is greater than any opposition. Nehemiah persisted. We must persist just like Nehemiah. We must work to get the vote out. God's people did not give up, and so we shall not give up as well. Throughout those 52 days, Nehemiah built the wall. He constantly sought God's direction. The work was completed because the people had a heart to work. And just like Nehemiah been faced with false information, rumors, and threats of stopping work, we have been fed false lies, false information from the White House and social media posts that is trying to stop us from casting our vote. We cannot let the antics of politics and this COVID-19 pandemic stop us from having a mind to vote. Here it is, y'all. We are not new to this. We are used to this. It is that personal kinship to struggle, to sacrifice, to racism that we must continue to fight. We know how to work and have faith in the midst of a pandemic. We are used to being disenfranchised when it comes to voting. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. says it best. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. However, that arc has been stretched thin due to the social injustice facing our communities, especially during this pandemic. Obstacles are placed in the way of voters, constantly threatening our right to vote. King and others have given us an example of what to do when the right to vote is threatened. They showed us how to stay on the wall and to fight for building our communities when injustice was the order of the day. Therefore, we are not new to this, people. We're used to this. It was Brown Chapel AME Church who played a pivotal role in the Southern state marches and led to the passage of the 1965 Voting Rights Act. Civil rights leaders led sit-ins and boycotts to impact change on our communities. They had rallies like this and a call for action for people to stand. That's why we're not new to this call. We're used to this call. Congressman John Lewis made history when he and King forged their way across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in the quest to change the system. Well, today, saints, it's our time. With God as our guide, let us take up our mantle of boldness and start our own social protest. This time, we're not taking it to the State House or the City Hall. This time, we're taking our social protest personally and marching our ballot to our mailbox. We're marching it to our local post office, or we're even marching it on Tuesday to your local board of elections. Why? I'm glad you asked, because we're not new to this. We're used to this. Join me with a mind to vote for better schools, for affordable health care, for stronger and safer communities, and better lives for the next generation. Join us as we unite in solidarity for a better tomorrow. When the naysayers in the book of Nehemiah told the workers that things were hopeless, that they were wasting their time, or when threatened by violence, Nehemiah reminded the people, and I remind you, do not be afraid of them. Remember the Lord, your God, who is great and awesome, and fight for your families. Vote for your families. Fight for your families. Vote for your sons and daughters. Vote for your wives and for your home. Don't be afraid of tomorrow, for God is with us. Don't be afraid of this pandemic, because God is with us. Don't be afraid, because we are not new to this. We're used to this. And if I had to preach this on Sunday morning, I will leave our congregation with a song by James Cleveland. And it says, sing along with me if you know it. I don't feel no ways tired. I've come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy, and I don't believe he's brought us this far to leave us. God bless you guys. Go vote.
Now that's
all right
what I'm
then.
talking about, Roland.
All right then.
Now, do you see why we had to have our good friend from St. Paul here, the Reverend Doctor? Let me just say that again, the Reverend Dr. Amy Anderson. I just want to say thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
I mean, it's so good, Roland, when you can have someone to bring that message and bring it from Nehemiah, bring it from the Bible, but take it to the streets. And that's what she did. And that sums it up about the value of going to the voting box. Putting that ballot down lays down the gauntlet, and especially for Black folks with so many of the disparities that we have. So again, that's why we're doing this show today, so people could understand and appreciate how hard we are working and doing the best that we can for as many as we can.
Well, plus a lot of people have to understand. I keep saying this and reiterating this. People don't realize that there's no facet of our lives that is not impacted by political office. None. The reality is, when you're born, that birth certificate is a government document. When you die, that death certificate is a government document. And I think people have to understand that voting, I keep telling people, voting is the end of one process and the beginning of another. So people think voting itself solves all the problems. No, is what you also do after the vote is taken. But even if your person doesn't win, you're still a constituent. And so you still should be demanding things of them. Of course, our next guest, he understands that. He, of course, is the Democratic caucus leader, first African-American to lead the Democratic caucus in the House. People also keep in mind that this is the largest, first of all, this is the largest class of Congressional Black Caucus in history. It's also the largest group out of any caucus on the Democratic side in the House as well. Of course, he hails from Brooklyn. He's always shouting out Biggie Smalls and all the folks from Brooklyn, because you know they think Brooklyn people think, Congresswoman, that's their own country. Now,
I love for H-Town too.
Now, I'm from. How I said again?
I'm not gonna let him talk about you, Hakeem. Now you.
But see, I'm from Texas. We actually were a former country. I just want to go ahead and let Mr. Brooklyn know that.
I'm just gonna tell you, you're gonna lose on this one, Roland. As much as I love you, this brother that's coming up has had my back from day one, because you have to remember, we came into Congress together, and we were classmates. And let me just tell you, I'll walk a mile for this brother, because he is without a doubt one of the baddest, not only brothers, just one of the baddest members that we have in Congress. He is just 2 steps away from being the first Black speaker of the House. This brother brings it every week. He has held calls for the entire caucus every day, and sometimes twice a day during this whole pandemic time that we've been out. I'm not going to let anyone say that we've been on vacation or we haven't been working, because I can tell you, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries has had us in check every day. So I am just so thankful and honored that he could be here with us live, because he was going to be here in person, and here he is today. So let's just let Hakeem do his thing.
All right.
Well, thank you very much, Roland. Appreciate you hosting us today in such a phenomenal fashion as only Roland Martin can do. And certainly to my good friend, my classmate, the dynamic Congresswoman from the 3rd Congressional District in Ohio, Joyce Beatty. Such an honor to have served with Joyce over the last 7+ years. And we've taken this congressional journey together, and I've seen how incredibly hard and principled and forceful her advocacy has been on behalf of the people that she's privileged to serve out in Ohio. I'm, of course, here in the 8th Congressional District of New York, otherwise known, Roland, as the People's Republic of Brooklyn. We're certainly in the midst of a terrible storm. But we are a resilient community. We've come this far by faith, and we will make it through this moment as well. But this is a hit that has been incredibly difficult for folks all across the country, of every region, every religion, every race. But we also know that this twin crisis, both the public health pandemic as well as the economic crisis, has hit the African-American community particularly hard. And it's hit us hard for several reasons. First, we are disproportionately overrepresented amongst essential workers. Folk from our community across the nation are out on the front lines battling COVID-19 to help defeat it and keep everyone else safely within their homes. We also know that we have historically been underrepresented in terms of resources. This is one of the reasons why Joyce Beatty's advocacy in Congress has been so forceful and important on behalf of Main Street businesses and women-owned businesses and minority-owned businesses, family-owned businesses, and those who are employed within those businesses in our communities. We're under-resourced traditionally, which is why we believe that we've got to make sure that we continue to direct a forceful amount of resources toward the communities that are being hit the hardest. And in this most recent legislation that we passed, with great leadership from Joyce, approximately $100 billion in additional public health resources will be directed to places across the country. We also know that many in our community suffer from what has been referred to as comorbidities in the context of COVID-19, higher rates of things like diabetes or heart disease or asthma, pre-existing conditions that make the impact of the virus even more severe. So this is a tough moment for all of us. But as I mentioned at the top, we are a resilient community. But it's a moment like this, as Roland has indicated, that the importance of government is even more significant, and making sure that your voices are heard in the decisions that are being made and who represents you is so critically important. And that's why it's important on this Ballot Sunday to prepare to make sure that your voices are heard. You heard earlier today from my good friend Val Demings, and we spent a lot of time together at the beginning part of the year on the floor of the United States Senate in the context of our service as impeachment managers. It was such an honor to serve with Val as two of the first ever African-American impeachment managers in a presidential Senate trial. And we spent a lot of time talking about the values connected to the founding of this republic. Values like separate and co-equal branches of government, the checks and balances that are important, the independent judiciary, the free and fair press, and the concept of self-government, the notion of government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It's a lofty concept. It's an important concept, but the only way to achieve it is to make sure that we participate forcefully, and make sure that your voices are heard. Voting is the key to the integrity of our democracy. And that's why we're all asking you to go out and make sure that your voices are heard. And as I conclude my remarks, let me do so by framing it in the context of this moment in history. We know that, as was set forth so elegantly by many of the speakers before me, we had to fight to get to a place where, as a community, our voices could be heard at the ballot box. And it was a glorious moment when President Johnson signed the 1965 Voting Rights Act. And it was passed in Congress with support from both Democrats and Republicans. And the interesting thing, as Roland knows, and Joyce has often articulated, voting was not always a partisan political issue. In fact, the Voting Rights Act has been reauthorized 4 different times in its history. And every time the Voting Rights Act was reauthorized into law, it was signed by a Republican president. 1970, Richard Nixon, of all people. 1975, Gerald Ford. 1982, Ronald Reagan, of all people. And in 2006, George W. Bush. And so for a significant part of the history of the Voting Rights Act, voting was not viewed as a partisan issue. It was embraced by people across the political spectrum. But something happened in 2008. Barack Obama was elected, and all of a sudden things changed. There are folks who said, we want our country back, as if someone had taken it away. And then in the aftermath of the 2010 Tea Party revolution, this is just facts, across 41 states, 180 different voter suppression bills were introduced in various state legislative bodies across the country. And then in 2013, the Supreme Court struck a blow against the pre-clearance provision of the 1965 Voting Rights Act, ushering in officially a new era of voter suppression. And so we're at a moment right now where the vote is even more significant than ever, because there are folks who want to stop you from participating. And my grandmama in Brooklyn, may she rest in peace, she's in heaven now, used to say, if someone's trying to stop you from doing something, that must mean it's important. And that's what we're confronted with right now. So we want you to go out and exercise your right to vote through the means that have been made available to you. And I'm just thankful for the friendship and the partnership and the journey that I've been able to travel with Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. She's a voice for the voiceless, a defender of the disenfranchised, a powerful, profound, principled, persistent public servant. Joyce Beatty represents excellence and eloquence and elegance and effervescence and experience. And she has done all that she can to represent you, and I'm confident will continue to do so. So go out, exercise the right to vote. Vote like your life depends on it, because as Roland indicated, your quality of life absolutely depends on it. I'm Hakeem Jeffries. I approve this message. If you don't know, now you know.
See, look at you. All right, so what are you cooking during this whole coronavirus deal? Are you in the kitchen, or are you like Congresswoman Val Divins? You got everybody on delivering stuff via Grubhub or something?
Well, you know, listen, I gotta give props where it's due. My wife has done a phenomenal job, but I'm helping out as the assistant chef. In fact, today I've got the lead responsibility. On Sundays, we try to cook a special meal for the boys, my 2 teenage sons. So I'm cooking up some steaks and some string beans and some corn on the cob for a traditional Sunday meal with the family together.
All right, sounds good. Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, we appreciate it.
Thank you. Let me do a few more shout outs, Roland. We have our state senator, Herschel Craig, shout out to you. State Representative Christian Bach, shout out to you. President of our county commissioner, John O'Grady, shout out to you. And of course, the amazing T Street. So thank you, so many people. We also have our school board. We have Michael Cole, member of our school board, who also is watching us. So thank you for taking care of all of our children. And we have some great frontline people who are out there during this time. Voting is important, so we can make sure that we take care of all of those folks out there who are going to our Columbus Urban League. Best President and CEO, Stephanie Hightower, thank you for your work. Nana Watson, NAACP, keeping us straight all the time. Thank you. Christy Angel, Black woman, President and CEO of our YWCA. So Roland, we have all kinds of folks who are tuning in with us because they know the power of our voting is the power of what we keep and put in office and the services that we provide. And that's why I'm on the front line every day, fighting and standing with my members of the Congressional Black Caucus.
Absolutely. Now, folks, we got one more selection from the great Shirley Murdoch. Shirley, take it away.
Amen. We want to just welcome everybody and thank you guys for having us on here. And the minister in me wants to put this in your spiritual arsenal. There's a scripture, Leviticus 5, that says, if anyone sins because they do not speak up when they hear a public charge to testify regarding something they have seen or learned about, they will be held responsible. So your vote, your voice is not only requested, but it's expected. Amen.
Yeah.
'Tis so sweet to trust in Jesus, just to take him at his word, just to rest upon his promise. Oh, to know what thus saith the Lord. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust you, how I prove you more and more. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust in more. Father, help your children. Don't let us fall by the side of the road. just to love one another, that heaven might find a place in our heart.
Jesus is love. He won't let you down. And I know that he's mine forever. In my heart, whoa, way down in my heart, in my heart, in my heart, yes you are. We need you, Jesus, every day, every hour. Yeah, 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 yeah. Your love is power and glory forever. Somebody say yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I know that Jesus is love.
Jesus is love.
He's love.
I know
that.
You
So
the love is from
that is the word.
Forever.
Jesus is love. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When you're down and out and you need a friend, oh yeah.
You need a friend.
When you need someone in which you can depend.
You can depend.
Like a shelter in a time of storm. I'll keep you safe and warm. You'll never have to worry, 'cause my love is true. I'll always be right here for you.
You can just call
me.
Call me.
Whenever you need me,
Just call.
call out my name. I'll be there.
I'll be your friend.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I'll be your friend. Now, this next song goes out to all the first responders and all those essential workers, because you stayed home for us. We're staying home for you.
Amen.
I'll be waiting. I'll be waiting right here when you get back home. Even though we're apart, you were never alone. I'll be counting the days till you're here in my arms. I'll be praying that the Lord will keep you safe from my heart. In the meantime, my dear, I'll be waiting right here. I'll be waiting right here. Right here.
Right here. Right here.
I'll be waiting
I'll
right
be
here.
waiting right here.
So don't you worry, my dear. Don't you have any fear. We never thought that it would take these many years. I pray protection for you and peace of mind for you too. I can't imagine all the things that you're going through. I made a promise to you that I would always be true. So I'll be waiting My love for you knows no time. My love for you knows no space. I close my eyes and I can see your smiling face. 'Cause when it comes to my heart, only you hold the key. I dream about you all the time, but that's no mystery. So whatever you do, just know I'll always be true. And I'll be waiting right here. Waiting right here. Right here. Right here. Right here. I'll be waiting right here. Waiting right here. I'll be waiting right here. Right here. I'll be waiting right here. So don't you worry, baby. I'll be right there in a hurry. Oh, no. Don't you worry, 'cause I will be waiting right here. Oh, right here. I'll be waiting right here. Right here. Oh, right here. I'll be waiting right here. Yeah.
That is Shirley Murdoch, and of course her writing partner, husband Dale DeGroat. Of course, many folks know from Zap Band. Glad to have both of you here. We appreciate you blessing us with your wonderful talents in ministry, helping encourage people to get out to vote. Thanks a lot.
Amen.
And
Thank
now,
you.
thank you so much. Roland, I am so excited that I have another one of my members of Congress and someone that I am very close to. We spend a lot of time talking about the issues. We spend a lot of time talking about how we're going to help the brothers and sisters. So we're going to go to Congressman Cedric Richmond. He's coming on today, and he certainly is someone who's been out there in the front lines. We were lucky to get him today. Many of you have heard that he's on the front line with our candidate for president of the United States. I guess I can say that, Joe Biden. So Roland, I'm gonna toss it back to you, and we're gonna bring Cedric Richmond on.
All right, let's do that. And he should have brought us some crawfish po' boys. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
You talk about Cedric just like you can't.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, if he gonna come, he should. Look, I can cook gumbo, so I don't need him. But he could have, sent us a shrimp or crawfish po' boy. That's all I'm saying. But Congressman, what's happening?
You have to come to DC because Cedric does that. He brings it all in fresh for us, and I think he always says something like, "Who dat?" So,
well, he claims he's a great golfer, but he keeps running from me just like Congressman Jim Clyburn. So, Yeah, so I'm just saying, but Congressman, go right ahead. How you doing?
Thank you, Cedric.
Hold up, we can't hear you. We got your video. Turn your audio on. Turn your audio on. First of all, check your settings to make sure you have your audio button. We see the video.
Okay, can our folks unmuting?
If y'all can if y'all can unmute him, but like we got his video, we don't have his audio, and I gotta hear him talk a little trash. So I can't miss that. So hey Cedric, make sure that your audio button, the microphone button is pressed. Make sure to tap. Okay, all right, okay, there we go. That was video. So we still got your video. You should be able to hear us. Right, he's unmuted, so the audio thing has to be on his end. And so while we wait, folks, don't forget. So Congresswoman, go over again the rules for folks to vote on Tuesday. First of all, if you mail in, it has to be postmarked by tomorrow. But also, what's the time? So, for instance, in Houston, we have a post office that stays open as 24 hours. But is it postmarked before midnight or 5 p.m.? Just what's the deal?
So as long as it has tomorrow's postmark, the 27th on it. So we need you to get it postmarked, and you can also drop it off. There is a box there. I would not trust mailing it in. If you want it, you can drop it off at 1700 Morris Road. If you don't have the ballot and you have requested it, you can actually go in and vote on April the 28th. That's up until 7:30. So again, April 28th, we're counting on you. And yes, I'm Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, and I approve that message. They love it. How are we doing with Cedric?
I see the box. So folks, let us know what's going on for Congressman Cedric Richmond.
Help in there for him.
Yep, so we'll do that.
They're telling me he is unmuted, so.
Okay, let's go to him. We can't hear him.
I don't have a visual or
yeah, I don't have a visual. So let's do, folks, so do this here. Have him disconnect and then reconnect. Trust me, this happens with my show all the time. Sometimes we can't reach people via Skype or FaceTime. And so if they actually just simply disconnect and then reconnect, sometimes that actually gets everything straight. Yeah, I know, folks, they're saying it's on his end. So yeah, I know. So sometimes sometimes when people don't realize with Zoom, what you have to do is you actually have to press your audio button to ensure that your audio is coming. You got to press your audio and your video button to ensure it's coming through. Again, folks, Election Day, April 28th is Tuesday. Look, you have presidential race, you have congressional races, you have, of course, other statewide races, you've got local races. Pay attention to all of those. You look at district attorneys races. We've talked about mass incarceration. That's really where you have the greatest impact on mass incarceration by the folks who were electing as DA. Do we now have Congressman Cedric Richmond?
And let me just say this. I'm glad you talked about mass incarceration. I think it's so important for the people to know that we have been fighting, and I have been in the front lines against so many of the injustices when we look at people who are homeless, people who are incarcerated. We are fighting every day to keep those individuals safe. We've been fighting out here for better health care for individuals, not only in the 3rd Congressional District, but across the United States. It is so important for us to vote. We can put all the money we want into Congress, into these communities, but if we don't stand up as African Americans and other minorities, if we don't stand up for Black businesses and fight during this time for the barbershops and the beauty salons, hair salons and nail salons, those who have their own small businesses, and Roland, I mean small businesses, I think it's so important for folks to know that I am standing with you and fighting for you. Do we have Cedric? I hate to leave him out because I know he was traveling and did this as a special favor to us, but let me just ask everyone to hold Congresswoman Maxine Waters up in their prayers. Maxine wanted to be here today and we had to tell her to stay with her family. Maxine's sister is critically ill with COVID-19. Maxine, we love you. We're praying for you, and keep reclaiming your time.
I think we have Congressman Cedric Richmond. Congressman?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
Well, I think the problem, Roland, was that my phone knows how you look when you play golf. Orange socks, orange shoes, orange golf bag, orange
Astros, baby.
That you bring with you.
Astros, baby. That's how we do it.
I understand. Let me, Roland, let me thank you for your role that you play in the community. Without our community getting a straight voice, straight from somebody who tells the truth, they wouldn't know what's going on. So you play a very important role in
Appreciate it.
Of course, to the one and only Joyce Beatty, who is an incredible Congresswoman and fierce advocate. I know we're at the end, so I will be very quick, but I want to recognize how important it is that Joyce Beatty is on financial services and is the chairwoman of the Diversity and Inclusion Subcommittee. So she not only talks the talk, but she walks the walk. There's a quote attributed to Plato that is very apropos. And that quote basically says, one of the consequences of not voting is that you get governed by your inferiors. And I think that now we see that more than anything. And so what Joyce brings to the table is experience and wisdom, along with a certain toughness to tell people the real deal. And I'll just say this very clearly. Elections have consequences, and you can't govern if you can't win. And so that's why it's important for us to participate in the electoral process. So we just passed Paycheck Protection, which is a good program. But this administration has decided that formerly incarcerated people who own businesses can't participate. That's because this administration and the powers that be have decided that formerly incarcerated people don't matter enough. And that's why you need people like Joyce Beatty fighting on financial services to make sure that we don't leave people behind. And so I just want to make sure that we understand that we have a gutted EPA right now because elections have consequences. All of those things are very key. And I wish I could go through the litany of things that Congresswoman Beatty has fought for. But I think that the people of the district know her best. They know her sacrifices, they know what she means to the community, and that her public service didn't start when she got elected. Her public service started because it was rooted in her for a very long time by her parents. Her husband is a public servant. And so the heart to serve is key, and that heart is in Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. So I just want the people to know that you have an outstanding Congresswoman, and it would be certainly a big loss for your district if she was not there. And so when you start talking about Congress where experience, seniority, and effectiveness really, really matter, she is the one. And so I just want to urge everyone, one, to make sure you participate, and two, know that you have a very outstanding Congresswoman. And as we start to think about the things we have to do in the future, a robust transportation bill. We need Joyce Beatty to make sure that disadvantaged businesses and minority businesses are going to participate in the trillions of dollars that we're going to spend. We're going to have a CARES Act 4 to make sure that we heal everyone. And so you need Joyce Beatty in Congress because she understands that one of the underlying conditions, one of the chronic symptoms that we have that make us more vulnerable to COVID is that economic disparity and poverty. Oh, that's a chronic disease. And we have to treat it all. And now that it's been magnified, we need people with the experience and the ability to go in and advocate for it, because the day of leaving people behind simply because of their economic status or the color of their skin or any of the other traits that have been far too familiar, we're going to join hands and lock hands at the CBC and continue to fight for that. And the last thing I'll say, which I'm not sure anybody mentioned, is that she is a fierce member of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. She ensures that we raise millions of dollars so that we can have great interns on Capitol Hill and fellows that look like us. And so we know that the best way for young people to come to Capitol Hill and get that exposure is through internships and fellowships. And that's why she raises so much money and participates on the board to make sure that we can bring our young children in so that they can see the Hill, they can participate, gain the experience, and then come back as chiefs of staffs and former members of Congress. So we were able to elect our first congressional intern that is now a member of Congress, and that's Lauren Underwood. And that's because of people like Joyce Beatty, and more specifically Joyce, who sits on the foundation board and is an outstanding member and helps us raise money to do those things. So thank you, Joyce. We look to see you back. I know you're going to win big, but every vote matters. So we want people to go out and vote like your life depends on it, because if COVID has shown us one thing, that is our lives do depend on policy and our elected officials.
All right, Congress Cedric Richmond. So I got to ask you this real quick though. In this time of coronavirus, what hair product are you using? Because I mean, normally, you keep it low, but I see, we're going harkening back to car wash days.
Well, look, all I can tell you, Roland, is my wife will not let me go sit in a barber chair to get my hair cut right now. She is adamant about protecting little Cedric and her. So as soon as it's over, I will get a haircut. But if you saw Congressman Vesey, he cut his own hair, and I decided not to go down that route because
no, bro, no,
Well,
no,
Cedric, let me-
I'm
Cedric,
good.
let me
I'm
say
good.
Thank you. And tell Rock we said hi, and I'm with Rock, and I cut my husband's hair last night.
Let me tell you something. You ain't got to go through all that. Just get you a brush and do the pat down. You ain't, don't be messing up your head trying to cut your own hair. Just pat it down.
If it grows high enough, I'm coming back with COVID cornrows on the house floor. So just to let people know what my mindset is and what state of mind I'm in. So
well, your wife is right, because, and I'm just, we joking, y'all, but seriously, that was a brother who was a well-known barber in Mississippi, who died. He kept cutting hair. Folks, this is not. And just real quick, and I know we got to go, but I need our people to understand. Look, if other folks want to run out there and kill themselves trying to get their nails done and their hair done, you get these crazy preachers out here still trying to have service. That's fine. We ain't got time for that. Trust me. You do not need to go home to the Lord early and for St. Peter to say, "Fool, why you here so early? You wasn't supposed to be here had you listened to the doctors who I gave knowledge to." And so too many of us are playing games with this, and we can't play games with coronavirus, because I just read a story on New York Times, a 49-year-old white guy. He was an avid skier, climber, all of that. What the efforts they went through to save his life, and this man was extremely healthy, 49. Congressman and Congresswoman, I keep telling people, don't play with this.
Absolutely.
Roland,
stay safe and stay healthy. Wear a mask. I tell everybody, make sure you wash your hands. Let's practice that social distance. This is for real. And too many Black folks are dying. Right here, Roland, I'm gonna say this, and I know we have to go, but if you look at the stats in Ohio and in the nation, we make up 13% of the population here. 11 million people in the state of Ohio. When you look at over 20% have tested positive. And when you look at 12% have died, that tells you something. So Cedric,
Congressman, real quick, go ahead. Congressman, you want to make a comment real quick?
No, Roland, I was going to go in on what you just said. If we can play around, but if you really want your hair done and makeup and your nails done, the mortician will do it for you. So you can wait till this is over, or you can let the mortician do it when you die. I'd rather wait until COVID was over and let a professional do it.
There you go. That's a good
point.
note. Roland, we need to go to Bishop Tim Clark to bring us in before you and I say thank you.
The benediction. And real quick, to everybody who you leave church early, the benediction is actually the most important prayer, because it's the prayer that sends you forth. So the people who skip church, try to run to the parking lot, they missed actually the most important prayer of the service. Right, Bishop?
You are absolutely right, man.
Well, my wife was an ordained minister, so at least I pay attention every now and then.
Listen, you're doing it, man. In fact, I'm going to have to make sure you're not out here preaching without a license.
No, I'm bootleg.
You bootleg. Well, sad to say, there are a lot in your number. Listen, the Bible tells us in the book of Ecclesiastes, let us now hear the conclusion of the whole matter. And Micah 6:8 was an old deacon in my childhood church. Roland, I was born in Brooklyn, Kings County Hospital, an old deacon in my childhood church in Far Rockaway, New York. His favorite verse of scripture, Micah 6:8. He has shown thee, O mortal, what is good. What does the Lord require of thee? But to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. This Tuesday, we get to do what God requires. I pray with all of my heart what you, Congresswoman Beatty, and these other wonderful members of Congress, and even those minstrels and psalmists who have sung today, we will now rise up, and having been inspired and motivated, will go forth now and do God's good work. Do justice, love mercy, walk humbly with your God. That is his will. That is his way, and that is our work. Amen.
Oh, amen. Amen.
Amen.
Great job. Great job. Congresswoman Beatty, it was great hanging with you on this Sunday, encouraging people to get out the vote. And we want people, of course, to be safe. If you're going to vote, as you said, wear protective gear, take care of yourself. And then, of course, as soon as you get home, use hand sanitizer, wash those hands, because we want to make sure that our folks are safe. If you don't have to, get that ballot post, get that absentee ballot postmarked by tomorrow, just so you can be safe.
Roland, I can't thank you enough. I can't thank the Ohio Democratic Party for helping to stream live, to my whole team, and to the wonderful 3rd Congressional District. I love you. I'm in the fight for you. And I just want to say, I'm Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, and I approve tonight's message. More than a couple thousand people were watching us. We streamed it on Facebook with another 1,000, and the numbers keep rolling that we are in the thousands of thousands tonight. Love you. Thank you. Go vote. And I think we're going to close it out with something that makes a lot of sense to me, Roland. We have Dale and Shirley Murdoch back, and she's got this little thing called Pushback. And what we're doing is we're pushbacking on COVID-19 or the coronavirus. And she's going to tell us about all those things I tell everybody about washing your hands and standing apart. We're going to all do it with her. Come on, Shirley and Dale. Let's do it.
All right, here we go.
All right, and when Shirley push back, you got to push back too.
All right.
And Roland, not a hair out of place.
We're going to push back. We're going to say good night as we're doing.
You gotta push back, 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 push back. Be cold enough, cold enough. You gotta wash your hands. You gotta rub to that lead. You know it's time to take a stand. You gotta wash the thorough. So please don't touch your faces. Stay out of crowded places. Clean up all personal spaces. Don't try to make your cases. You gotta push back, push back, push back, push back, push back, push back.
Roland, thank you. Shirley and Dale, thank you. We're going to keep pushing back and telling people to go to the polls and vote, because your vote is your power. Your vote is your voice. Thank everyone on the program for being here with us live streaming with Roland Martin and Joyce Beatty. Stand with Black women. Roland, we like your t-shirt. Thank you.
You did the thing.
We appreciate it. Great job.
Thank you. Black voters back. Good night.
Every single night. We've got some of the top Black experts. You're not going to see them on cable news or broadcast news because you swear Black people aren't experts when it comes to this health crisis. That's why we have this show and why we do what we do every day on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Joining us right now is retired General Russell Honore, the nation's first Black Surgeon General, Dr. Joycelyn Elders. John Hope Bryant, he's the founder of Operation Hope. Senator Kamala Harris of California, Dr. Sadrina Calder, retired General Lloyd Austin, Congresswoman Karen Bass, Commissioner Omari Hardick, Bureau President in Brooklyn, Eric Adams, Dr. Joseph Graves, America's Wealth Coach, Deborah Owens, Dr. Corey Abear, Patel Salt, Howard University student, Pastor Jamal Bryant, Dr. Christy McDowell, Benja Ajilore, Senior Economist at the Center for American Progress, Gilda Daniels, again, author of the book, The Crisis of Voter Suppression in America. 4 stars, General Kip Ward. Dr. Oliver Brooks is President of the National Medical Association, President of the American Medical Association, Dr. Patrice Harris. Joby Benjamin, Dr. Alexia Gaffney, Infectious Disease Specialist, Dr. Georges Benjamin, Executive Director of the American Public Health Association, Malcolm Nance, Family Medicine Physician, Dr. Jen Caudle, Dr. Tashaka Cunningham, a molecular biologist, Kat Stafford. She's a national race and ethnicity reporter for the Associated Press. Dr. Wayne A.I. Frederick, who is the president of Howard University, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke from the state of New York, William Springs, AFL-CIO economist, Andrea James, executive director the National Council for Incarcerated and Formerly Incarcerated Women and Girls. All right, let's go to Capitol Hill. Congressman Gregory Meeks, Congresswoman Eddie Johnson of Texas, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar, mental health clinician Jamie Singletary, Prince George's County State's Attorney Aisha Brayboy, as well as Dylan Hayrie, ACLU Justice Division strategist. Dr. Cindy Duke, she is a virologist. Principal Steve Perry of Capitol Prep. Health and Wellness Specialist Dr. Yolandra Hancock. Desmond Meade, President of the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition. Cliff Albright, who is the co-founder of Black Voters Matter. Michael Harriet with The Root. Mina McWhorter, founder of Love by the Hand. Dr. Julianne Malvo, economist, president, Emerita Bennett College. Coroner Michael Fowler is the mayor of Atlanta. Keisha Lance Bottoms, mental health therapist Suzette Clark. Justin Gibney, attorney and political strategist, and Bishop Vincent Matthews Jr. Dr. Suzette McKinney, CEO and executive director of the Illinois Medical District. Dr. Leon Madugal, president-elect of the National Medical Association. Jana Bailey, mayor of Moss Point, Mississippi. Mario King. We're going to keep driving this thing to make sure our people are fully aware, safe, protected from coronavirus. You getting the top medical experts, the top business experts, top political experts, top religious experts, because that's why we do what we do. Unapologetically and unfiltered. Ain't nobody else in the black media space doing what we do. Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it.
Hey everybody, this is your man Fred Hammond, and you're watching Roland Martin, my man, Unfiltered.
Hi, this is Essence Atkins, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hey yo, Peace World, what's going on? It's the Love King of R&B, Raheem Devon, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hi, my name is Brescia Webb, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Well, I like a nice filter usually, but we can be unfiltered.
What's going on? This is Tobias Trevelyan, and if you're ready, you are listening to and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What's up? I'm Lance Gross, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hi, this is Cheryl Lee Ralph, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, could it be any other way? Really? It's Roland Martin.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? The blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play.